is Kelly Dale with offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. Thanks so much for joining me today. We are going to go way back in the vault for a retro redo from a time in YouTube when I first got started and I could only have my videos 15 minutes long. So this original video that I'm going to do for you today was two parts. The first part was showing you how to start the stitch. The second part was showing you how to finish off your project. Now, for many of you who have been following me for eons now, if you were to go back and watch the first one, I was in my bedroom. The lighting was horrible for the video. Camera was backwards. So, I mean, it's a miracle any of y'all watched me, but I'm really grateful that you did. And I'm so grateful for Carol Cipher, who allowed me she never knew this was happening, but she was the one who kind of helped start me on this YouTube path by letting me use her book that she had out at the time to do some projects out of the book. So, Carol, we salute you, we thank you, and I cannot wait for you guys to see our retro redo for the Spiraling Fire Polish Bracelet. So let's take a look at what you need. Here is the bracelet that we are going to be making today. You are going to need about 2 to 3 grams of a size 11 seed bead, about 3 to 4 grams of a size 8 seed bead, and 80 to 100 4mm beads. This can be a pearl, a fire polish, a roundel, whatever you want. I'm going to be using fire polish beads today. You are going to need 2 wire protectors and a clasp of your choice. So for this one, I used a magnetic closure, but it is completely up to you. You're also going to need a size 10 or 12 beading needle with 4 yards attached. Now here's the thing. I know that some of you completely freaked out on me when you heard me say 4 yards. But here's the thing. If you start out with 4 yards of thread, you will not have to worry about adding any thread on your project. You will have plenty to work with because we're already going to start out having a 12-inch tail. So that's going to take 12 inches off of this piece already. But if you absolutely cannot deal with having 3.5 to 4 yards of thread, then just simply tie the threads together as you add new thread. Don't try to tie onto the project. Tie thread to thread in whatever way you like. To get our project started, we are going to thread on 4 of the size 8 seed beads, 1 11/0, 1 4mm, and 1 11/0. I'm going to let these beads drop down, and as I do that, I'm going to make sure that I leave myself a 12-inch tail thread. That 12-inch tail thread is going to be used to attach the clasp at this end of the bracelet. So that is why we need that 12 inches. Now, I'm not going to put a stop bead on here because we're fixing to take the needle and you are going to pass up through those 4 size 8 seed beads again. Once you go through those 4 and you pull that through, now that is going to leave you with a piece that looks like this. So at this point, you either want to keep your fire polish or your 4mm bead here on the right, or you can flip it to the left. It does not matter, but whichever way you start, you have to keep going in that direction. So now the great thing is every stitch we make is going to be exactly the same. So we're going to pick up 1 size 8 seed bead, 1 11, 1 4mm, and 1 11. Now when you do this, you need to drop these beads all the way down. And we are going to go up through the top 4 8/0 seed beads. So I'm going to come through 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we don't go through the bottom one. We're only going through those top 4 size 8 seed beads. And we're going to pull this through. And when you pull that through, your piece will want to do this right here. So all you need to do is make sure, if you're turning them to the left like I'm doing, that you turn that to the left so that they start stacking, or turn it to the right so that they're stacking that direction. So we pick up an 8, an 11, a 4mm, and an 11. Let these drop down. Remember, we're going through the top 4 8s. So this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So each time we're adding an 8, and each time we're going to move up 1 8 on that center spiral. So I'm going to hold that so these beads can get pulled into place. And once I give that a nice little tug, you can see there how that spiral is beginning to happen and show up. So again, an 8, an 11, a 4mm, and an 11. And we let this drop down. Count back 4 of our 8s. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to go through 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that. And I'm going to pull this through. Make sure I flip it that direction so that now you can see there how those are really starting to spiral around. So let me do a few more stitches really quick so you can see how that spiral is going to continue to work. So I've done a few more stitches, and you can really see now how that spiral has started and how it just is going to continue to go around. So what we want to do, we want to continue working that spiral until we have the length that we need. Now, when you get to the length, make sure to add yourself enough room to add the clasp. So it's going to depend on what type of clasp you're going to do as to how much room you want to leave here. If you're going to do a magnetic, I'm only going to need to leave about 1/2 of an inch to 3/4. If I'm going to use a toggle, which I think I am on this one, then I'm going to want to leave a little bit more room. So make sure to keep going until you have that to where we can add the clasp. So once you have the length for your piece, you're going to need your toggle or whatever type clasp you're using, 2 of your wire protectors, and then 4 size 11 seed beads. Exiting out of that last size 8 seed bead that I have here on the piece, I'm going to thread on 1 size 11 seed bead and 1 of my wire protectors. Now, if you've never used a wire protector, you go up 1 side and pull this through, and then we are going to pass down through the other side of that wire protector. And what happens once we pull this through, you'll see that our thread now is here inside of this little cavity, or this little spot in the protector, so that now the clasp will not rub the thread, it will rub the protector. I'm going to thread on 1 part of my clasp and make sure it goes all the way up inside of that wire protector. I'm going to pick up 1 11, and if you want to, while you're at this stage, you can actually go ahead and pinch that wire protector closed a little bit more, so it makes life a little easier. I'm going to skip the 11 that's already on here, and then I'm going to pass back down through the core of my size 8 seed beads. And I'm going to go through, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those beads. And then I'm going to pull so that those 2 size 11 seed beads will sit side by side. I'm going to pass down through so that I'm coming out right here at an 11, a 4, and an 11. And I'm going to pass through those beads. And then I'm going to pass up through the beads there at the core so that I can then come up through the wire protector. Be careful not to get your thread caught on any of the little fire polish embellishments there. I'm going to pass through the clasp and then down the other side of the wire protector and the 11, and then down through some of my 8s. Just be real careful each time you pass through so that you don't get the thread caught. And I'm going to reinforce this a couple of more times. Once I'm happy with those embellishments, then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come out here where the 8s are. And I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to pass under the thread between 2 of those size 8 seed beads. I'm going to pull it through till I have just a little loop, and I'm going to take my needle, pass through that loop, and pull the thread tight so that it makes a little half hitch knot. Then I will pass down through some more. Here we go. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to slide under the thread there between those 2 8s. Or you can even do it here between the 11 and that 8. And make yourself a little half hitch knot. And then pass down through a few more beads. And you're going to continue to do this till you've got 3 or 4 little knots in there. Once you've completed the first side, you're going to thread your needle onto the tail thread, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side of the bracelet. This is why it's important to leave your 12-inch tail thread. So you can see here what this will look like with a toggle, and then you can see here on this sample what it looks like with a magnetic closure. And you can see how different they look. Just, you know, the colors just make a huge difference in the way this piece looks. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this retro redo for the Spiraling Fire Polish Bracelet. I do have 2 kits available for the gold and this really pretty, like bronzy purple color. It's very, very pretty. I have 2 kits available for those on the website at offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. And I also have a completely free pattern for this project that you can go and download there as well. Everything is linked directly below the video in the video description box, so make sure to check those links out. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.